English Flow podcast.
From Speak English Flow Daily. Hello, English learners, and welcome back to the English Flow podcast, your go-to podcast for everyday English, natural conversations, and simple listening practice for daily life.
Today's episode is a little different from our usual topics, and that is exactly why it matters. We are talking about medical English, specifically how to describe hantavirus symptoms clearly and accurately to a doctor during a medical appointment in English.
This is not just vocabulary practice. This is language that could genuinely make a difference in a serious situation, so we want to give it the care and attention it deserves, at the B1 and B2 level, in a way that is clear, practical, and ready to use.
Here is the situation we want you to think about. You have been in a cabin, a shed, or an outdoor area where there were rodents, mice, rats, or their droppings. A few days later, you start feeling unwell. Fever, muscle aches, fatigue. It feels like the flu. But something feels different. Something feels more serious.
If you have been exposed to rodent droppings and you start experiencing flu-like symptoms, every second counts. Hantavirus is a rare but potentially life-threatening illness, and early diagnosis is critical. But here's the question that this episode is designed to answer. Do you have the English vocabulary to describe these specific hantavirus warning signs to a doctor clearly enough to get an accurate diagnosis? Because if the answer is no, that language barrier could stand directly in the way of the care you need.
Navigating a medical appointment in a second language is stressful at the best of times. When you are dealing with a serious viral threat like hantavirus, that stress multiplies. So today, we are giving you a clear structure, a set of key phrases, and the exact symptoms to mention, so that your doctor understands the severity of your situation immediately. Don't let a language barrier stand between you and the healthcare you need and deserve.
By the end of this episode, you will know how to open the conversation with a doctor, describe your symptoms precisely, mention your potential exposure, ask the right questions, and understand what the doctor is likely to say in response. Let's get into it. Before we get into the language, a very brief background, because understanding the illness helps you describe it accurately. Hantavirus is a viral infection. It is transmitted primarily through contact with infected rodents, specifically their droppings, urine, or saliva. You can also contract it by breathing in particles from dried rodent droppings in enclosed spaces. It is not passed from person to person.
There are different strains of hantavirus around the world. In the Americas, the most serious form causes what is called hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, or HPS, which affects the lungs and can become life-threatening very quickly. In Europe and Asia, a different form primarily affects the kidneys. Knowing which region you are in helps both you and your doctor narrow down the risk.
You do not need to be a medical expert to use today's language. You just need to be able to describe what you experienced and what you are feeling. And that is exactly what we are going to practice.
Let's start at the very beginning of the appointment, when the doctor asks why you are there. This is called the presenting complaint, the main reason for your visit. A clear, direct opening is the most important thing you can do. You might say, "I'm concerned I may have been exposed to hantavirus," or "I've been feeling unwell and I think it might be related to rodent exposure."
Notice how both of those sentences tell the doctor two things immediately: what you think the problem might be and what caused it. That combination, the possible diagnosis and the exposure, is exactly what the doctor needs to start taking the right steps. Do not wait for the doctor to ask. Mention the exposure right away.
You can also say, "I was recently in a space where I found rodent droppings." Droppings is the medical and general English word for animal feces. Or, "I was cleaning out a storage area and I may have inhaled dust from rodent nesting material." That phrase, "inhaled dust," is very important because inhalation is one of the primary transmission routes for hantavirus.
Other useful opening phrases. I'm worried because my symptoms started about 3 to 5 days after the potential exposure. The word potential here is important. It means possible but not confirmed. Doctors appreciate this kind of careful, accurate language. It tells them you have thought about the timeline, which is medically significant.
Now, let's talk about how to describe the early symptoms of hantavirus, because the first stage typically resembles a severe flu, and the language you use needs to be specific.
The most common early symptoms and how to describe them. For fever, you might say, "I've had a high fever. My temperature has been around 38 to 40 degrees. Or, "I've been running a fever for the past 3 days. Running a fever is a very natural medical expression in English.
For muscle pain, which doctors call myalgia, you would say, "I have severe muscle aches, especially in my back, thighs, and hips." The word severe is important here. It communicates that this is not mild discomfort. If the pain is extreme, you can say, "The muscle pain is debilitating. It's affecting my ability to move normally."
For fatigue, "I feel extremely fatigued. Not just tired, but completely exhausted even after rest." Or, "I have no energy at all. Even small activities are difficult." That distinction, not just tired but exhausted after rest, helps the doctor understand the depth of the symptom.
Other early symptoms to describe? I have had chills and sweating. I feel cold and then hot in cycles. Chills are the feeling of being cold and shivering, even when your temperature is high. You might also say, "I have a headache that has been persistent for several days." Persistent means it does not go away. It keeps coming back or stays constant.
And nausea, the feeling of wanting to vomit, is also a common early symptom. You would say, "I've been feeling nauseous," or "I've had an upset stomach and I've vomited twice." Being specific about how many times and when helps the doctor assess the severity.
If the illness has progressed, the symptoms become much more serious, particularly affecting breathing and the heart. This is the stage that requires emergency medical attention, and the language you use here must communicate that urgency clearly.
For breathing difficulties, which doctors call dyspnea, you would say, "I'm having difficulty breathing," or "I feel short of breath even when I'm not moving." Short of breath is one of the most important phrases in medical English. It means you cannot get enough air. You might also say, "My breathing feels labored." Labored means it requires effort. It feels heavy and difficult.
A very important phrase if symptoms are severe. My breathing has been getting progressively worse over the last 24 hours. The word progressively means it is not staying the same. It is getting worse over time. That word alone communicates urgency to a doctor in a way that "it's bad" simply does not.
For chest symptoms, "I have a tightness in my chest," or "There is pressure in my chest when I breathe." For coughing, "I have developed a cough in the last day or two," and if applicable, "The cough is producing fluid," or "I'm coughing up liquid." These details help the doctor assess whether fluid is building in the lungs, which is a key sign of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome.
If you are in a region where the kidney-affecting strain is more common, you might also need to say, "I have lower back pain, and I've noticed my urine output has decreased." Or, "I feel swelling around my face and eyes." These are signs of kidney involvement and are medically significant.
Now let's talk about the questions you can ask your doctor, because a medical appointment is a two-way conversation. Asking good questions shows the doctor you are engaged and helps you understand what is happening.
You might ask, "Based on my symptoms and my exposure, do you think hantavirus is a possibility?" Or, "What tests will you do to check for hantavirus?" Standard tests include blood tests. The doctor may say, "We'll run a full blood panel," meaning a complete set of blood tests. Or, "We need to check your oxygen levels." Oxygen levels are measured with a small device on your finger called a pulse oximeter.
Other questions worth knowing. How long will the test results take? Should I go to the hospital or can I be treated here? What symptoms should I watch for that would mean I need to come back immediately? That last question is particularly important. It tells you exactly what the warning signs are that require urgent escalation.
And here are some things the doctor might say that you should understand. We're going to admit you for observation, meaning they want to keep you in the hospital to monitor you closely. We want to start you on supportive care. Hantavirus has no specific antiviral treatment, so supportive care means treating the symptoms: fluids, oxygen, rest. Your oxygen saturation is low. Saturation means the level of oxygen in your blood. Normal is above 95%.
You might also hear, "We're going to refer you to a specialist," meaning your doctor is sending you to an expert in infectious diseases. Or, "We're going to isolate you as a precaution." Isolate means keeping you separate from other patients, not because hantavirus spreads person to person, but as a standard safety measure while they confirm the diagnosis.
Let's put all of this together into a short model script, the kind of thing you might actually say when you walk into that appointment.
Good morning, doctor. I'm quite concerned. About 5 days ago, I was cleaning out a storage shed and I found a lot of rodent droppings. Since then, I've developed a high fever, severe muscle aches in my back and thighs, and I've been extremely fatigued. In the last 24 hours, I've also started feeling short of breath, and there's a tightness in my chest. I'm worried this could be related to hantavirus. Is that something we should investigate?
That script covers everything: the exposure event, the timeline, the early symptoms, the progression to respiratory symptoms, and the specific concern, all in under 1 minute. Clear, calm, and medically precise. Any doctor hearing that will take it seriously immediately.
And if you are nervous or your English feels shaky in the moment, do not worry. Even saying, "I was near rodent droppings. Now I have fever, muscle pain, and breathing problems. I'm worried it's hantavirus." That is enough to start the right conversation. The goal is to communicate, not to be perfect.
Today we covered a lot of important ground. From opening a medical appointment and describing early symptoms, to advanced respiratory and kidney vocabulary, asking the right questions, and understanding what your doctor says. This is some of the most practical English we have ever covered on this podcast.
If today helped you feel more prepared for a medical situation in English, please share this episode with someone who might need it. And check the pinned comment below. There is a short practice exercise to help you rehearse the key phrases right away.
Your health matters. Your voice in a medical setting matters. And your English is strong enough to make itself heard, especially now. We'll be here with you.
Take care of yourselves, everyone. Stay safe.